today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Another look at the Battle of the Unbeatens, set to go down on the undercard of Taylor versus Serrano, Thibeault versus Kasamasa. Mary Kasamasa. Getting a better look at what young Thibeault is going to be dealing with in July in what is a middleweight contest scheduled for 8 rounds. Thibeault
2-0 with 1 KO. I've seen her and she hits hard.
to Mary Kasamasa, who sports a professional record of 6 wins with no losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout.
A southpaw to Thibeault, who is an orthodox fighter. Mary's 25, whereas Tam is 28.
Mary is the noticeably shorter, stumpier, stockier fighter of the two. That doesn't mean that she's small. That just means that she's smaller than Tam, who's got long legs that make for long strides, lots of height and length for a middleweight. That's important.
What?
Mary Kasamasa, who was last in action in November of last year. She fought 2 times last year, whereas this fight is going to be her very first fight of this one, but no ring rust to shake off. She's seen action within the last 12 months. Picked up a noteworthy scalp in her last outing against Brazilian standout amateur Adriana de los Santos Araujo.
It's good.
To Thibeault, who was last in action earlier this year in March opposite the ring, the very experienced Sonia Dreeling, who she stopped in the first round of a contest scheduled for 6. So what is Tam going to be dealing with when she squares off with Mary? I've had a closer look at Mary. Footage was hard to come by.
There really isn't a whole lot of footage out there.
But what I managed to find and what I managed to see is that Mary is an offensively minded fighter. Good strength, good sharpness, but defensively, she's quite vulnerable.
Defensively, she's lacking. She doesn't do a good enough job of keeping those hands at home to protect herself on the way in and after she fires a shot.
Protecting herself in the exchange, that seems to be an area of weakness for Mary. You're either going to move your head and keep it on a swivel or do a better job of covering up. But either way, there are glaring holes there.
Gaping holes there, which is important because she's about to face a fighter that is noticeably taller and longer than she is.
A fighter that doesn't need to be right up on her to touch her with straight punches from the outside. So, if Thibeault decides to take a more defensive approach with Mary, hanging back and moving lateral, staying behind the jab and the straight punches, she can easily walk her into shots. Now, as far as what I've seen from Thibeault so far, offensively she's quite gifted. But against Mary, she doesn't have to take the offensive because Mary's going to do that. All Tam has to do is hang back, circle away, and set her up.
Work off the counter.
I wondered about this fight and whether or not it was wise to put Thibeault in there with another unbeaten fighter just 2 fights into her professional boxing career. But now, having seen Mary in action, this looks like an assignment that Thibeault should be able to handle.
And that's not saying that Mary's a scrub or that Mary's not a good fighter. Mary can improve. But for the fight that she's about to have,
You can already see what the challenges are, what they will be for Mary Kasamasa.
Tam is a very good boxer, but also a very tall one who doesn't need to hit the gas on Mary. All she needs to do is hang back and set her up. The openings are there.
Normally a bit more reserved when it comes to 2 unbeaten fighters facing each other this early in their careers, but having seen Mary in action, I like Tam to win. I like Tam to win the fight, maybe, by way of knockout.
Twitter, social media world asking for Boots Tio. This is just a pipe dream to put your name in the same sentence as a nigga like Jerron Boots Ennis. Jerron Boots Ennis do not need whatever circus Tio is doing. Boots don't need that energy. Boots trying to be undisputed, my nigga, and he's trying to keep his weight down to be undisputed. Tio, you got smoke with Dev Dollars, Devin the Dream Haney. You are ducking him. Let's talk about how you ducking Devin Haney, my nigga. That's the fight that niggas want to see. You weird ass niggas. We want to see that fight. That is what the people is asking for. Ain't no nigga asking for Boots and Tio. Like none. Like zero. Like finito, my nigga. Nobody.
I kind of get what he's saying. That Boots versus Teofimo was not a fight that anybody was asking for. Asking for the fight, no, but I do think some people would like to see it based on how Teofimo's behaving, whose feathers he's trying to ruffle, all the racist stuff. I do think there are people out there who wouldn't mind seeing Boots tear him a new one.
Even if they weren't asking for this fight. If they made it, yeah, I think people would watch it.
Two-Tone has a preference. He would prefer to see Teofimo fight Devin. Understandable because, well, they have more history with each other than Teofimo and Boots. Teofimo and Boots really have none, but he fights Devin. Devin's not gonna do to him what Boots would do to him. That is, Devin's not gonna knock him out. Devin doesn't knock people out.
He'll win a ho-hum decision.
He mentioned Boots' effort to become this division's undisputed champion, but that's on hold for now. Brian Norman's fighting Jin Sasaki, Mario Barrios is fighting Manny Pacquiao, so if you can't unify with anybody, why not fight Teofimo?
Boots is making a mistake.
And Boots, too. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to fight Teofimo. I think Boots is making a big mistake.
That's a
not taking
perfect
this
fight for him. First of all, as good as Boots is, Teofimo has a much bigger profile. There's no one on his resume anywhere near the caliber of Teofimo Lopez.
Names are bigger than belts. Teofimo over a belt, over a Norman, over a Barrios. Come on, man. Like,
It's also a check.
huge check.
Names are bigger than belts, and a lot of times, I mean, I'm not one of those people. I love my belt. My belt is very important to me, but checks, money matters. Bank accounts matter.
Why are you doing
Your
this?
life after boxing matters. We are
Exactly.
prize fighters.
I have to agree with Dan Canobio and Chris Algieri. I think that Boots is making a mistake here because the reality is you're not going to get a unification match at any point in the near future, so you might as well fight this guy. You're getting paid a lot of money to do it. He has more of a profile than Brian Norman, than Mario Barrios. Technically, it's a bigger scalp. Technically, it's a bigger fight. And for moving up to 154 now,
Take care of this guy before you go. If you are now abandoning the undisputed campaign, why not just fight Teofimo before you go? Why not?
it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth that when they offered you Virgil, you said you wanted to stay at 147. Now they offer you Teofimo, but you're going to 154.
Come on.
And when you get to 154, you're not at liberty to just fight Joe Blow after that. You turned down a Lopez fight, a high-profile fight, so you have to substitute that.
You gotta swap that out for something good. Virgil Ortiz, Bakram Murtazaliev, something.
Because the way the Lopez fans are framing this, they're saying you're ducking Lopez.
So now, you're going to 154, you've gotta fight somebody good enough that shows you're not a ducker. You're not ducking. You didn't skip out on Lopez to fight somebody easier.
The massive vote of confidence that Boots has been getting for the last 2 or 3 years, the hyperbole, has finally caught up to him. There was so much hype around this guy when he was at Showtime that now people want to see it realized. They want to see him in a big fight.
They want to see him back it up.
They're getting impatient, and I don't blame them, even if I myself was never on that hype train. And those of you that have been following this channel will know that. I see a good fighter in Boots, but I don't know about a great one.
They were crowning this guy the next Terrence Crawford for beating guys like Sergey Lipinets and Thomas Dulorme, Chris Van Heerden.
Are you kidding me?
So that they are now growing impatient with Boots doesn't surprise me. Least of all now that he's being promoted by Eddie. They liked him a lot better when they thought he was a PBC guy. They don't like him as much now.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I think that a lot of people out there took it as a betrayal that as soon as Boots became a free agent, instead of signing to the PBC, he signed to Matchroom. Personally, I think he made the right move. Personally, I think if he would have signed to the PBC, he wouldn't have fought as many times as he has fought since signing to Matchroom. But that's not how other people see it.
All they see is that he didn't sign to Al Heyman, and they interpret that as a betrayal. Even when Matchroom gets him not 1, but 2 homecoming fights, they still look at it as a betrayal. They would still prefer that he signed to the PBC.
Even when Matchroom gets him a unification match with a PBC fighter, they would still prefer that he be promoted by somebody else, by Al Heyman.
Why?
It's more of that racial, cultural, foundational bullshit.
What's happening to Boots now is not as a result of Matchroom not getting him opportunities. He's got a big opportunity in front of him right now, but it's up to him to take it.
Chance to fight Teofimo on one of Turkey's shows. Turkey who does a lot of business with Matchroom.
I mean, this is a direct byproduct of the one good decision that Boots made, signing to Matchroom. But he's not capitalizing on it, and I happen to agree with Dan Canastota and Chris Algeria.
Boots ought to just fight this guy, then move up. The fight with Lopez would be bigger than any and every fight that Boots has had so far. Take care of this guy!
The hell's your problem?
You stupid or something? You don't want to fight Lopez, he's a midget.
And a racist. Off of that alone, you could get a significant profile boost. Pouncing on Lopez, more than what you got for unifying titles. This is gonna mean more to that many more people, and you're just pissing it away.
Whatever.
In men's super middleweight news, the official word from Jaime Munguia on the heels of his positive test and the latest doping fiasco to rock the boxing world, Jaime said, "Throughout my boxing career, I have undergone numerous anti-doping tests and have never tested positive. I was tested twice during this training camp and both results came back negative, which is why receiving this notification of an adverse finding has been a complete surprise to me. Several experts have explained that there are multiple ways contamination can occur, and I am fully willing to undergo any retroactive, current, or future testing to demonstrate that I've always been a clean athlete. I will not make any further comments on the matter until this process is concluded with the results of the B sample, which in all likelihood is going to yield the same result as the A sample because it is the A sample. It's the same urine in a different container collected from the same day.
He's dirty.
But I am seeing a push, in some circles, to exonerate Jaime of culpability and the Reynoso gym that's looking quite suspicious.
Liza, who just so happens to be a big Canelo Alvarez fan, said, "In my opinion, there should be an investigation done about what's going on in the Canelo team, like you guys call it, but that investigation needs to be done by Reynoso, because somebody is definitely setting him up, and it's an inside job by a very trusted person."
Oh, give me a break.
A lot of the guys at Reynoso's gym are popping hot, your favorite fighter included, and you would rather believe that it's a conspiracy against them specifically, when, newsflash, the whole sport is dirty, your favorite fighter included.
I'm not surprised, guys. I'm never surprised when people get caught. I'm really not. Actually, I am. I'm surprised when they get caught. I'm not surprised when people are doing it because I know guys are doing it. I'm not taking a knock at Munguia. I like Munguia. I've always liked Munguia. But it's just, you get to a certain level in this sport, man, and it's just way more common than anyone wants to understand or accept. Your favorite fighter's probably on drugs, dude.
Some would rather believe that this is all an elaborate smear campaign to tarnish the name of Eddie Reynoso and the Reynoso gym than to just accept reality. A user...
This guy left me a lengthy comment in my video reacting to it yesterday saying, "Wake up, people. This is a coordinated smear campaign. Just think about the following. Why is it that this American testing company rarely catches any American boxers? Why do you think that is?"
They catch American boxers the same as they catch Mexican ones. Your skin in the game is whenever Mexican fighters get caught.
Here come the excuses. Even though American boxers have the greatest history of ped usage, and all the top American boxers are with snack, yet VADA almost never has anything to say about these American fighters. It's funny how that works.
What's funny is that Willie Monroe, who was popped by VADA, also was a Snack Systems fighter, and the same applies to Ryan Martin when he got caught.
After the Josh Taylor fight, he was a Snack Systems fighter at the time too, so this is a false equivalency argument, and you don't know what you're talking about. All you know is you want to protect the Mexican fighters, and you think I can't see through that. But that's your skin in the game. You're not this apologetic when other fighters get caught.
So I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody with a bias. I don't care what your bias is, your nationalism.
Save the stupid explanations for somebody who cares. A bunch of fighters at the same gym have been caught using peds. You think that's a coincidence?
No, he thinks it's a smear campaign from some childlike need to believe that only his favorite fighters are clean. Only the guys he likes. The rest of the sport is dirty.
But not the Reynoso gym.
I had another guy that goes by the name Al Cuerpo say, Neary wasn't involved with Reynoso when he popped.
I never mentioned him.
Ryan Garcia was with Joe Goosen when he popped.
I never mentioned him.
Martinez was also not with Reynoso when he popped.
I never mentioned him.
To be technically accurate, Only Valdez and Munguia failed under Reynoso. Valdez was then given some waiver for T, which the WBC acknowledged.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
Clenbuterol is now allowed more than what Canelo had. With Canelo, no level of clenbuterol was accepted. But in 2018, the Olympics and WADA Committee newly allowed up to 2 nanogram threshold.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
That's what you want to hear, but that's not what I think. You're not convincing me.
You're only speaking from some biased need to protect the image of Mexican fighters, as if I'm supposed to care, if I'm supposed to give a shit. Were you this apologetic when Jarrell Miller tested positive?
Conor Ben, Amir Khan. No, you only stand on the pulpit, you only jump on your soapbox when your countrymen are involved, as if I'm supposed to care, which I don't.
Spare me the stupid explanations. You're not convincing me or anybody else. You're just biased.
Now, I say it all the time, that I think the entire sport of boxing, at least in the upper echelon, is dirty, and everybody knows about it. I don't pull punches for any of these guys. So that includes Canelo, that includes Jaime Munguia, and any other fighter, every other fighter at the Reynoso gym that pops hot.
That includes Oscar Valdez.
Ryan Garcia tested positive. I didn't make excuses for him, so why would I make excuses for them?
Why are you expecting me to?
Shit is pathetic the way you guys try to impose your little double standards on the rest of the world. It's not gonna work. As far as the world is concerned, the Eddie Reynoso gym and the fighters that are in it are dirty. Just like a lot of fighters are dirty in the sport of boxing. We ain't making special exemptions based on nationality.
You're arguing about this the wrong way.
You're arguing like a child. The more appropriate argument to make is, if the entire sport of boxing is dirty, and everybody knows it behind the scenes, then why castigate anyone? Why pigeonhole anyone for what is the industry standard?
Instead, you'd rather believe they're innocent. They would never.
The more mature way to look at this entire fiasco is, nobody's innocent. Nobody's hands are clean. At the highest levels of the sport, a lot of those guys you see on TV are on something. Jaime's just one of the dumb ones that got caught.
So what the guys at the Reynoso gym need to do is time their cycles better so that this doesn't keep happening, because there is an established pattern now.
Can't be ignored, but you're expecting me to do that so that you can keep up this childlike illusion that everybody over there is clean? No, they're not.
Grow up.
I say it all the time that I think everybody's doping. The men, the women, the prospects, the contenders, the champions, the popular fighters, they're all doping.
So don't pee and shit yourself and throw your toys out of the pram when one of your favorite fighters gets caught in the act. It's just confirmation of what I already thought. They're all clean until they're not.
It's just like Chris Algieri said, there's a good chance that your favorite fighter is doping.
It's about time you kids woke up and smelt the clenbuterol.